Good Wednesday morning to you. Hope you had a eventful Tuesday night. I sure did. I'm sure you were glued to the set watching the various games that were taking place. For as weak a schedule as it was Monday night, Tuesday, there was a plethora of things for you to watch, and we're looking forward to talking about it with you all morning long here on X's and Bros. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. Pistons out west hold off the Nuggets in Denver, 109-107. Cade Cunningham dropped in 22 points. He had 11 assists. That's great. The double-double is really cool. 0 turnovers. That's what I was focused on. The team as a whole only had 6. That tells you something. Tobias Harris added 22 points and 8 boards. Pistons have won 9 of 11. I do want to get to Tobias Harris here in a minute, so we will do just that. Michigan overcomes 19 turnovers and an 11-point deficit at home and tops Nebraska 75-72 to hand the Cornhuskers their first loss of the year. Maurice Johnson sets the pace with 17 points and 12 boards. Wolverines are 19-1, 10-1 in Big Ten play. Gonzaga has one loss, and it was to Michigan. Nebraska's got one loss, and it was to Michigan. So the Wolverines, you don't have to dominate every single game for you to have impressive wins. Nebraska's good. They can shoot. They can get to the rack. They're pretty damn good. Michigan escaped, if you will, in that one. So we'll get to that, of course. Michigan State overcomes their largest deficit of the season. They were down 12 with under 10 minutes to go and used an 8-0 late second half run and early overtime run. And they stunned Rutgers 88-79. Jeremy Fears was unbelievable. Leads 4 Spartans in double figures, had 29 points, 27 points of those coming in the second half. He also had 9 dimes. State shoots 40, also hit his free throws down the stretch. Michigan State as a whole, 24-26 from the stripe. So they dominate the glass, 45-22. That's not surprising. It's the free throw shooting that was really encouraging. They improved to 19-2 on the year, 9-1 in conference play. So that sets up the ultimate showdown Friday night at the Breslin Center. It is going to be epic. Cannot wait. We've got the watch party at Soaring Eagle on Friday. Hope you can join me and Mitch Lyons. Yep, Mondays with Mitch, and Jimmy King will be there as well. So that'll be at the watch party at Soaring Eagle on Friday night. Bill Simonson will be earlier in the day at Lansing Brewing Company. $10 cases of beer. You don't even have to know Billy. It's $10 cases of beer at Lansing Brewing Company there from 3 until 6. So make sure you get there and check out Bill Simonson's show and that watch party. And then, of course, they're giving away 2 tickets as well. So you get a chance to win that. We're giving away 2 tickets here on X's and Bros and the Huge Show. 2 tickets. If you text 21,000, if you text Soaring Eagle to 21,000, you will be eligible to win those 2 tickets, and you'll get picked up by our friends at MetroCar and then dropped off by our friends at MetroCar after you watch the game at the Breslin Center. Let's get to the phone lines real quick. Somebody's called in on this early Wednesday morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I think you were getting there, Shep, but Mark has some Pistons thoughts on his mind after the win last night late.
Oh, nice. Okay. Mark, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. I haven't been able to listen to you much. I haven't been driving the bus. We've had too many snow days going on over here in western Michigan. But last night, I don't say that you made a mistake or not, but they beat that team, Denver, and the refs. That reffing job last night was atrocious. I don't know how you feel about that, but they were just – I mean, they gave Denver as many shots at that game as they could in the last 10 seconds on two fouls in the three-point land that weren't fouls. So that's I just wanted to point that out. And secondly, do you think Michigan State and the Michigan game this week, do you think Michigan State's going to get a first seed or a 1 seed in the tournament if they beat Michigan? And I'll listen to your comments offline. I got to get on the road here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mark. Be safe out there. That's fantastic. We always appreciate your input for sure. first and foremost, Pistons and Nuggets, we're bound to look at it that way. And yeah, I think there's some ticky-tack. I don't like the way they call games at the end. I want them to just be consistent. I think every team would tell you that. Every player would tell you that, okay? So that's first and foremost. I love that the Pistons were able to overcome a lot of that and get it done. Here's the only thing I would say about MSU. They still have to play, even if they beat Michigan Friday night, to say that they'd be a 1 seed would be putting that proverbial cart before the horse. And here's the reason why. You still got to go to Wisconsin. That is not easy. You still have to go to Purdue. That is very difficult, even though Purdue lost last night to Indiana. And that Indiana team, you have to go there, and you have to go to Chrysler. So I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan State won Friday night. But to run the table in those difficult situations at Mackey, in Bloomington, and then the rematch with Michigan to end the season, I think would be asking an awful lot of any team, not just Michigan State, but any team. But look, they did it. Now, last night during the state game, I almost texted Trent and said, what the hell are these guys talking about? During the broadcast, they kept saying what a great basketball atmosphere it is at Rutgers.
Oh, my gosh. They did mention it a couple times. And I thought of you. You should have texted me because that was funny.
Well, I texted you earlier and said Michigan State is playing awful, and I didn't get a response. So I thought maybe you had the phone off. You know what I mean? But anyway.
I was not happy.
Yeah, I thought to myself, what are you talking about? I don't care about the design of the arena. Just because you're there doesn't mean you have to sit there and pump the tires. It's a horrible atmosphere. Now, Michigan State being there probably heightened the mood there. Okay.
Oh, yeah, they were ready to storm the court.
Anytime Rutgers has got Michigan State or a team that's, well known and highly ranked, of course the atmosphere is going to be high. But if you're there when Rutgers isn't very good, and I think Steve Pikiell's a good coach, by the way. But if you're there and they're not very good, and the team they're playing is just kind of so-so, and I've been there in those situations with Michigan playing there, it's very drab. But anyway, I digress. Nice win for Michigan State, no doubt. Unfortunately, Red Wings couldn't make it a four-peat for our teams on Tuesday night. They lose 3-1 to the LA Kings, who are big and physical. But the Wings usually, if you look at the numbers and you look at the statistics, and that's not how you can always measure games going in, but that's oftentimes what we use. Red Wings are the better team, no doubt. 3-1, Kings win it, though. Patrick Kane does get an assist on the lone Red Wings goal, Alex DeBrincat. Great spacing by Detroit. They had pulled their goalie because they were down 2-0. And then the Kings scored an empty net goal to make it 3-1. But Kane, with the assist, now ties Mike Modano, Westland, Michigan native, for the most points by an American-born hockey player. So hats off to him. Buffalo Bills have hired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, as their head coach, signed him to a 5-year deal, while Denver fires their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi, the former Lions. Which comeback was most impressive? Michigan or Michigan State? That's the Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question. Try not to vote based along school lines. It's always a tough thing to put up a Michigan and Michigan State poll question when they're together, because that's oftentimes what you have. Michigan State down by as many as 12 on the road. Michigan down by as many as 11 at home, but to a better team. Vote as often as you want. At XB Mornings, I'll retweet it. At Shep Matt, and we'll give you the results tomorrow in the 8 o'clock hour. In our 8 o'clock hour today, specifically 8:35, Tim Hardaway from the Crossover Podcast will join us to talk hoops here on X's and Bros as we get rolling on a Wednesday. Glad you're with us on the Michigan Sports Network.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLionsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
NFL playoffs, hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Thanks for tuning in to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
good, hard-fought win. We're going to learn a lot from this game. But throughout the course of the season, you've got to be able to get to the next game and the next game. I thought the last 5 minutes we were quick to the ball. We were determined to find a way to win. We had some Herculean performances. Reyes on the glass, physicality. Off the bench, Will and Trey, man, awesome work, man. We don't win that game without those guys coming in and making the contributions. Guys, we need to put on our hard hats and have the same approach going into the next game. That it might be ugly, it might be pretty. We don't know what it's going to take, but we're going to find a way to grind this thing out together. But hopefully you guys learn something from this game. Every game in the Big Ten, you should be learning something that's going to help us later on. We're going to be able to refer back to this.
Good stuff from Dusty May following the game last night, his team's win over Nebraska. I think there's a lot of different things you can glean from games, not just by winning or losing or the box score. First of all, I mean, last night you could tell Nebraska can play. They've got good motion in their offense. They've got good shooters. They've got good spacing. You watch the Michigan State game. I think that was more of a Rutgers rush at home, and the Spartans, I don't want to say looking ahead. That's probably not fair. But every team, look, these are, for the most part, I was about to say these are teenagers or young 20-year-olds. In college sports today, you never know, right? I mean, sometimes these guys are grown men. But I would say for Michigan State, it seemed like there was a little bit of a lull there, almost like a sleepwalking feel to what they did. There's a couple of ways you can look at it. You can look at it that they came out, I hate the word flat because it's overused, but they came out less inspired. And they caught fire. They leaned on one guy, Jeremy Fears. Although I love the three-point play by Kohler. I thought that was fantastic. The move that they compared him to with Kevin McHale, which might be a little much, but still, whatever. For him to Fears to take over the game, and Tom Izzo admitted as much. Look, we got a little lucky. Yeah. Find me a team at some point during a long season that doesn't get a little luck. In baseball, it could be a blue pit down the sideline or down the first base line. In football, it might be a pass interference on an opposing team, right? Hockey, there is such a thing as called puck luck. Red Wings didn't have much of it last night. Chris Osgood made mention of that numerous times. And in basketball, same thing. That's what happened with Michigan State. So he says he wants to put it on the lucky side. That's fine. In the first half, Jeremy Fears said after the game, we weren't being us. We need to define ourselves. That's very broad. Who cares? This is what should matter to you, is the fact that they won the game. Well, Dusty May and company probably feel the exact same way. They feel like, not that they got lucky, but it was more of a, we needed to find our way. The thing that I appreciate about both games, both teams, they stayed in the moment, in the game. Sometimes when you get down double digits, especially in State's perspective on the road, when you get down double digits, there is a sagging of the shoulders, and it ain't happening for us tonight. Get to within 3, push back to 7. Get to within 5, suddenly you're down 9. Instead, what they did is they stayed the course. They stayed after it, and their defense got stiffer, which was great. So both teams feeling good after a win, and they should feel good after a win. I do, with the Pistons, I mentioned that Cade Cunningham had 22 and 11. Tobias Harris was really good too. And he, of course, as I mentioned, had 22 points and 8 boards. And now the Pistons have won 9 of 11. I wonder, as you see teams starting to jockey for position and you hear about the trade rumors of various players that are going to be on the move in the NBA. And there was one yesterday that I read where the Knicks have started to pop up a little bit more in the rumor mill. And the Knicks are a team that, who gives a crap that they won the NBA Cup? But it seems like that's mentioned in every article and it's associated with the New York Knicks. But that there is an interest there, rumblings that they are going to try and acquire Portland's Drew Holiday. And the newsletter, the Steinline newsletter says, there are at least two clear reasons why the Knicks have interest in a player who helped both Milwaukee and Boston win championships. The presumption that acquiring Holiday, if there's a way, would make the Knicks an even more attractive destination to Holiday's former Bucks teammate Giannis Antetokounmpo. And two, New York is believed to hold a longstanding fondness for Holiday as a potential backcourt complement to Jalen Brunson. Bottom line, the guy's a really good player and knows what it takes to win. My point to you and anybody listening would be, if the Pistons, if we think the Pistons are set and this team's good enough to win the East, I said as is, with everything taken into consideration of other teams as is, I agree with that. But what I've said for a while now is that other teams are going to do something. Wouldn't surprise me if Boston does something. They're getting better, even though they're 5.5 back. The Knicks, I said, they're going to do something. They're not standing pat. They're not going to let this stand. Whether or not they get Antetokounmpo, I don't know. Giannis Antetokounmpo has hurt his reputation this year with the way he's acted and the way he's said things most recently about his teammates, and quite honestly with the way he's played. But that could be a possibility there. Drew Holiday gives them a stabilizing fourth without question. Good on defense, good on offense, and a guy who has a championship pedigree. So it makes me wonder, because we hear about various players that would be on the move for Detroit, and I can't help but wonder, considering how Tobias Harris does. I mean, he did whatever he wanted to last night when he got the ball in the mid-post. Backs his way in, hits the fadeaway jumper from 14. Really good at establishing that type of position. There's not many guys on the Pistons who can do that. I would argue there's nobody else on the Pistons who can do that consistently. I'd love Jalen Duren to be able to do that. He has not proven to be able to do that on a consistent basis. I'd love Duncan Robinson to be able to do that. He's more of a three-point shooter, even though he was awful from three last night. You know, his lone bucket came off an inbound and a bounce-back pass right to him for a dunk, which was great. Karis LeVert's never healthy, so it's really hard to say that. There's nobody else who really does that. I mean, Cade Cunningham does it, but Cade Cunningham's asked to do just about everything for this team, including that straightaway three that was huge last night, rattling in. So I would argue that is something that Tobias Harris delivers to the Pistons on a nightly basis. And then it makes me wonder, if you're going to get, like we keep saying, well, they need to get shooters. If they get shooters, are those shooters going to be able to do what he does in the mid-post? Or is it going to be just a perimeter game? Now, in fairness to the Pistons, Tobias Harris has missed 15 games this year. Detroit is 13-2 with him out of the lineup. So they have proven that they can win without him. But some of the things that he adds, and it's not like last night was the only time he's done it. Okay? Let's not get it too twisted in that regard. He did it against Sacramento en route to 16 points. He did it against Boston en route to 25 points. I mean, he went 11 for 20 against Boston in that tight win. He's a big reason why they were winners over the Celtics. It was a big performance for him. That was a problem for the Celtics.
He's been playing very well lately, and there's two ways to look at that. You know, you could say, well, his stock is high before the trade deadline, move him now. Mm-hmm. Or you could say, well, you know, he's turning things on and the team hasn't skipped a beat, so keep him around. Why would you get rid of him? Why disrupt the peace? That's up to Trajan Langton to decide.
And you know what's funny about this, Trent? When I think about that, it's been blatantly obvious, and Tobias Harris has made sure we know it. He likes it here. He wants to stay here. How many times have you and I heard where fans say, I want guys who want to be here? Well, he wants to be here.
I think he really likes being the elder statesman on this team. He likes this younger group. He likes being the vet. He likes leading the way, and he plays a vital role. It's not like he...
Well, that's the whole thing.
It's not like he plays 10 minutes a game.
Yeah, the elder statesman stuff's a good point. But Duncan Robinson's been around for a while. Karis LeVert's been around for a while. I want, I don't know how much more elder statesman advice Cade Cunningham needs. I don't know how much more Jalen Duren needs or Isaiah Stewart. I'm not saying it's not effective or helpful. I'm just saying that to me is added value. How's that?
Yeah, it just has to be taken into account when you're talking about his role.
I want the consistent play. And I think for the most part, he's had a dud here or there. He wasn't great against Houston. Nobody was really good against Houston, to be honest with you. So I want that consistent play. And I want those plays specifically that he can add that not many other players can on this team. That mid-range jumper and that post-up ability. Number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4840. Text us, Sports Radio 21,000. We're brought to you this hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
At Soaring Eagle, make it a hot Valentine's night. 5-time Grammy nominee El DeBarge and Keith Washington putting love in the air. Tickets as low as $50 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. This Valentine's night, make it hot. El DeBarge and Keith Washington at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Shop Meijer and bring more good to game day with Buy 5, Save 5 deals on Watch Party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The Buy 5, Save 5 deals at Meijer. Now that's the good life, a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Thanks for tuning in to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
I can only say that to win championships or to win a lot of games, you got to be good. But then every now and then you got to be lucky. Tonight, we'll put that one on Lucky's side. We were lucky. Can we learn from Lucky? Sure. We'll see if we can. We got a quick turnaround now, but we're going to try to learn on the way home on the plane. I'm going to have guys watching film, and when we get home tomorrow, let's move on to Michigan. But we got to learn from this game because there were some things we did early that were not very good.
Tom Izzo following his team's overtime roadkill at Rutgers. I heard them say during the broadcast, and I know they're hoping that Michigan goes a lot of overtimes and so on and so forth. And my thought is, well, the game's not till Friday, man. It's not the tail end of a back-to-back. I don't think that matters all that much. But bottom line is both teams came back and won. So good for them. I get the lucky part. As I said before, I think a lot of teams need a little bit of luck. It's not unusual during a long season, and college basketball can become a very long season for a team. The key now is, how you get healthy and how you get ready, and excited for Friday night at the Breslin Center, excited for the watch party at Soaring Eagle, excited, and we're going to have Mitch Lyons and Jimmy King with us at that watch party. So if you can't make it to the game, come to Soaring Eagle and their sportsbook Ascend, enjoy some really good food, and watch the game with us, and we'll chat basketball with you with Mitch Lyons and Jimmy King. Excited to give somebody an opportunity to go to the game. We're doing that by asking you to text Soaring Eagle to 21,000. You do that, you are open and registered to go to the game, and then Bill Simonson Thursday at Soaring Eagle tomorrow will pull the winner. And 2 tickets, you're going to the game, and you're going in style. You're going in Metro cars that are all part of it. And Friday afternoon, Lansing Brewing Company that has $10 cases and really good food and a great atmosphere. They want to give you a chance to go to the game with 2 tickets. So very cool stuff that we've got going here on the Michigan Sports Network. And I appreciate what Tom was saying there. You can learn from every game. The first half was not good. You cannot play Michigan and play that way in the first half and expect to come back on them. That's not going to happen. If you're a Michigan fan and you're looking at how you played in I would say the first 3 quarters of the game against Nebraska, can you do that and still come back against Michigan State? Less likely, but still possible. Nebraska's a lot better than Rutgers. The hard thing about MSU, of course, is their lockdown defense. All right? Number 1 defensive efficiency in college basketball. And going into the game last night, number 5 overall in total defense. So you're asking your team to do a lot more than they probably would be capable of considering the competition. That's what makes Friday night so special. Really excited for it. We're going to talk with Tim Hardaway at 8:35 here on X's and Bros. He of the Crossover Podcast with Lindsey Hunter. Looking forward to that. So he will join us at 8:35. Stay with us. Some strange stuff going on in football. Try not to look too deep into what leagues are doing to either alienate a fan base or create a new one, or basically just tell anybody who looks out there and is worried about it, screw you, we'll do what we think is best. This PR campaign openly for Shedeur Sanders is troubling. Okay, here's a guy who ranks 35th in the league in completion percentage of 59%. Total yards per game at 215 yards per game ranks 29th in the National Football League. His touchdown to pass ratio is dead last. His passer rating is 36th. His yards per pass ranks 24th, and yet he's going to the Pro Bowl. Makes no sense whatsoever. It is strictly the National Football League trying to create maybe social media followers or adding to it. I don't know why they think that would be necessary when they had, I think last year, 24 of the top 25 shows on television, or the highest rated programming in television. So I don't know why they feel the need to do something like this, but they've done it. All right, you move on. Why they feel the need to have some dude wear a dress at halftime of the Super Bowl, I have no idea. but that's their decision. On top of that, what you've done is you've made, I think a lot of people start to question your integrity with the latest Hall of Fame vote. Bill Belichick may not be the nicest human being on earth, may not necessarily like him, and may not necessarily like his teams. That's what sports is about. You don't have to like every champion. You don't have to like every player. You don't have to like every coach. You need to receive 40 of 50 votes for the Hall of Fame. To get into Canton, you need 40 of the 50 possible votes. Bill Belichick, believe it or not, did not. That is stunning, shocking, ridiculous, and now makes a lot of things questionable. There are 29 NFL coaches enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. All right? 29. Don Coryell's in there, never won a championship. All right? Ray Flaherty is in there. Who? Exactly. Marv Levy's in there. Never won a championship. Steve Owen. Who? Yeah, Steve Owen. Not the former Heisman Trophy winner who played for the Lions in the backfield. A different Steve Owen. All right? Dick Vermeil, Bill Walsh. All these guys, 29. All right? Bill Belichick has the third most regular season wins in NFL history. He has the most Super Bowls of any individual in NFL history. He has 302 wins in the regular season. He has spent 29 years as an NFL head coach. Only Don Shula, George Halas have more wins than he does. All right. He has more postseason wins, 31, than any coach in history. The 6 Super Bowl titles, as I mentioned, okay? 332 total wins if you add the regular season and the postseason, okay? Only Don Shula has more, 347. On top of that, his career winning percentage of 647 ranks 19th among 207 all-time qualifiers in NFL history. I get where people say, well, without Tom Brady, okay? With Brady, he was 248 and 75. All right. Without him, he won only one playoff game. So what? That's who he had. There were coaches along the way. Tom Landry, who's an excellent coach. Before he got Roger Staubach, the Cowboys weren't very good. Okay. Jimmy Johnson, before he got some added players, remember, that's a team that really struggled. Before he got some really good players, he wasn't very good. All these guys, Tony Dungy's in. How good was Tony Dungy without Peyton Manning? So I hate that argument because you could use it for a lot of different guys. I don't know how good Don Coryell would be without Dan Fouts and Kellen Winslow Sr. and John Jefferson and players like that. Bud Grant never won a Super Bowl. He's a really good head coach. He also had the Purple People Eaters, and he had Fran Tarkenton, and he had some really good players with him. You're going to hold it against one guy. And I don't like Bill Belichick. All right. I don't like his press conferences. I don't like the way he treats people. I don't, what he's become at North Carolina with his young girlfriend. I'm not supportive of that. That doesn't mean I can't put that aside and recognize how good, how important, and how meaningful that dude was in the National Football League. It is absolutely insane that this guy was not a first ballot Hall of Famer. What have I said about baseball Hall of Fames for a long time? The people who didn't vote for him, I believe it was Jimmy Johnson who said this on social media, they need to be revealed. You have to figure out who has a vote and uses that personal vendetta, if you will, against Bill Belichick. Because a resume that includes 6 world championships, 8 Super Bowls, or 6 as a head coach, 8 overall, 8 Super Bowl championships, 6 as a head coach because he had 2 as an assistant with the New York Giants, and the second most wins of all time that included the playoffs, and the third most wins regular season all time. If that doesn't warrant a first ballot Hall of Famer, somebody has to explain to me what does. And I've said this for a long time about baseball. We've done interviews here on X's and Bros with Hall of Fame voters. Just did one last week. Somebody at some point thought to themselves, Ken Griffey Jr.'s not a Hall of Fame player. Somebody thought Nolan Ryan doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Somebody was out there and said, you know what, Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Willie Mays, players like that, Mike Schmidt, George Brett, sorry, you're not worthy. What?
Or even worse, some of these voters just, well, he's in. We'll put him in on the third ballot. He shouldn't be a first ballot, which to me, that makes it so much stupider. It's like, what's the point? Are there tiers in the NFL? Are you a tier 1 NFL Hall of Famer?
A Hall of Famer or you're not.
Exactly. So what does it matter when you go in?
Because here's the difference. You get a certain amount of votes, and you have to prioritize those votes. So I'm not saying every single person who's in the Hall of Fame in Cooperstown or in Canton or in Springfield or Toronto should have been first ballot Hall of Famers. That's not what I'm saying. You could be in a situation where you've got 5 guys who you think are legitimate Hall of Famers. You think other guys are possible Hall of Famers too, but you've got to give your vote to the different players you think are automatic. So I got no problem with that.
But you do get what I'm saying, though, right? Like that does come up in conversation sometimes.
I do. I understand. I mean, at some point, just because, let's use it this way, just because Chase Utley might get in to Cooperstown, which would piss me off even further because Lou Whitaker's not there. But just because he may get in, he's got 59% of the vote this year, came up from 19% from last year's vote. Just because he gets there, let's say in 2 more years, doesn't mean he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. There are other players who deserved your vote before him. And I get that. We're talking about all-time greats. I'm talking about Randy Johnson here, okay? We're talking about players like Derek Jeter. We're talking about players who deserve to be there, and it's obvious. Bill Belichick, no matter what you may think of him, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. His accomplishments, I think somebody I think it was Peter Schrager put it best yesterday. He said, look, if you are writing a book, writing the history of the National Football League, at some point, are you going to mention Bill Belichick? Of course you are. And yet, he's not a Hall of Famer. You can't say that about everybody. Are you going to say that about Weeb Eubank? Maybe, because the Jets got that victory over the Colts and stunned everybody in football league history. So perhaps he's part of that. And maybe Joe Namath is part of that. And maybe that's why a lot of people have him in too. But it makes no sense to me whatsoever that a guy who's accomplished as much as Bill Belichick has accomplished, that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. Eventually he will. But more than 10 people thought, I'm going to teach this guy a lesson, or he didn't treat me the right way, or there can't be any other explanation. I mean, unless it's true what Bill Polian, there's a rumor, there's a belief, ESPN, that Bill Polian was a vocal figure in the Hall of Fame deliberations involving Bill Belichick, and that Spygate and Deflategate came up among voters during the discussions. And for someone who spoke anonymously, they said Polian, who, by the way, was the former Bills and Colts GM and rival of the Patriots, told some voters that he believed Belichick should have to wait a year for penance on Spygate. Now, Spygate was despicable, period. It's cheating. So if people have that and they want to say, I think there's something to that, Okay. I get it. Show your face. Say it. Have the courage to say it. I get tired of a lot of these voters who are trying to convince you of certain things that take place in sports through sources, and are willing to hide behind certain reports, and are asking for players and or coaches to have accountability in life. They write about it, they talk about it, they tweet about it, they do it all the time. Somebody has to be accountable for this because your team failed. Who decided that? You can't be generic at the podium. They get tired of that. You're giving me word salads. That's the latest one, right? And now they're going to do something like this, and they're not going to own up to it. They should own up to it, as far as I'm concerned. You got a problem with it? Go ahead. If you're that convinced, if you have that much conviction in your vote, you should have no problem telling anybody, look, I had a serious issue with Spygate. I think it's flat out wrong. The Deflategate thing, I think the Deflategate thing is ridiculous. So what?
But if you're that against it, then take a stand and come out and talk about it then. That's fine. Sure. Own it. You have a vote. You are a prestigious figure.
What do we do in baseball all the time? We want accountability from umpires. In football, we want accountability from referees. You and I talk about it. People write about it all the time.
Yeah.
Right? We want to know, how did you see that as a pass interference or not? How did you not call that a home run?
Right. Stand on business and explain it.
Stand on your business. Absolutely.
Own
it.
We
want that accountability. And now you're going to turn around on this Hall of Fame vote and you're going to hide behind it? This deserves or is needing an explanation. There are certain people in the National Football League who are part of this league's history so emphatically. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, way back in the day, Johnny Unitas, Bill Belichick. We don't have to go through everybody. Bill Belichick is one of those guys. There is no doubt. And I'll bet you Tom Brady gets in on the first vote. And rightfully so. Quick timeout here on X's and Bros. Phone number on the Wire Hotline, 866-838-4843. This is X's and Bros. We're brought to you this hour by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact that Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
It's time to go on the court.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. Trent Valley here, and with Nikola Jokic still in street clothes for Denver, you'd expect the first-place Pistons to handle the Nuggets just fine, right? Well, they got it done, but it was a little bit closer than expected on Tuesday, with the Pistons winning 109-107. They held a modest lead for nearly the entire game, up 13 after a quarter and up 6 at halftime. But the Nuggets hung around thanks in large part to Jamal Murray's craftsmanship inside the arc, overcoming an 0-for-6 night from deep for 24 points. However, with the game tied in the final seconds, Murray missed a crucial free throw while Tobias Harris knocked down a pair of clutch ones for Detroit, as his 22 points tied Kate Cunningham for a team high, and the Pistons escaped with a win by a bucket. That's 34 wins on the season, still atop the East. Next up, they've got the Phoenix Suns in the desert tomorrow.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Van Andel Institute Purple Community is a grassroots fundraising network powered by the dedicated volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve human health now and in the future. When you raise funds through the Van Andel Institute Purple Community, 100% of the proceeds go directly to the Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's, as well as VAI's science education programs. Learn how you can get involved at purplecommunity.org.
Okay, back with you here on X's and Bros throughout the state of Michigan. Thanks for being with us on this Wednesday morning. This hour is brought to you by Meijer. I think sometimes when you get into the Hall of Fame discussion, you kind of have to tread lightly. Some people feel you have to tread very lightly because we always bring up comparisons. All right. Many people will feel like, well, if you get into the Hall of Fame, what difference does it make? There's a special group. It is something extra special when you get in on the first ballot. Talking with players and coaches in the past, it means you're among the greatest of all time. And I don't care what anybody says. When you participate in sports, and you and I have done that our entire lives growing up, sure, you want to win. You want to be the best. Sometimes you can't be because your physical ability doesn't allow you that, all right? Sorry, but as much as I enjoyed football, I was never going to duplicate what John Elway did. It's just the way it works, okay? You live with it. Everybody, you hope, would want to be the best at what they do. If I asked you, and you think you know football, if I asked you, who's the greatest coach of all time?
Bill Belichick.
Right.
Without hesitation.
Yeah, and whether you like it or not, whether you like him or not, I don't give a crap if he's at the podium and he didn't answer your question. I don't care if he treated you unfairly or you didn't like his demeanor or you didn't like how he dressed unprofessionally. I want guys like Hank Stram and Vince Lombardi and Tom Landry. Oh, well, it happens. I hate to tell you, there's going to be a coach in the NBA who dresses with a sweatsuit on, basically, and doesn't dress as nice as Pat Riley or Chuck Daly, but they're going to get into the Hall of Fame. So what? Okay. So there's things that people use as ways not to allow a guy in more than the other way around. But when there are guys who have been in the Hall of Fame modern class, first ballot. So let me give you a quick example. Last year was Luke Kuechly, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, Marshall Yanda. I'm not saying I'm not saying they don't deserve to be in there. But with all due respect, Adam Vinatieri is a kicker. He gets in on the first ballot. Bill Belichick, for all that he's done and was his coach, is not. You tell me how that makes sense. Somebody has to, you have to wrestle with that, justify that. Julius Peppers is a really good player. First ballot in 2024. Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, excellent players. Those were first balloters in 2023. In 2022, the first ballot Hall of Famers were Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, and Calvin Johnson. It means something more when Calvin Johnson is a first ballot Hall of Famer, along when you can say, well, so was Randy Moss as a wide receiver. So was Jerry Rice as a wide receiver. So were Lance Allworth as a wide receiver. I mean, there's something to be said that Don Shula in 1997 was a first ballot Hall of Fame coach. And I think that's something that Bill Belichick has earned. In fact, I believe, I could be wrong here. Trent, you can check this, double check it for me. I believe the only players or the only coach as a first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe, is Don Shula. Now, to me, that's a little questionable, but that was 1997. So, Trent, I don't know if you could do some quick research for me.
Yeah, I've got Chuck Noll. He was also first ballot. Tom Landry in 1990. Vince Lombardi and George Halas. So there's been 5.
Okay, good. All right, thank you. I thought 1990. I thought Jack Lambert was the only first ballot Hall of Famer there. So I
must just be
that.
Players they wrote down. But
well, no, this list has coaches. Has Don Shula in 1997.
Okay. Well, this says the confirmed first ballot coaching inductees that got in on their first ballot: George Halas, Vince Lombardi, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Don Shula. Makes
sense, right? Those Bill Belichick is in the same conversation as those guys.
Yep. There's a name missing for sure.
Yeah. And if you think about it, when you mention the greatest coaches of all time in any sport, who's the greatest coach in hockey history? Scotty Bowman. Okay. Who's the greatest college coach? Nick Saban. A lot of these things are undeniable. You can argue whether Bill Belichick was the greatest NFL coach of all time, because people who support Don Shula have some good numbers associated with him. Not as many rings, but wins and a few other things. Other people have, things associated with Chuck Noll, if you wanted to put him in there. I get all that. There could be a debate there. Vince Lombardi, George Halas, there can be debates there. But here's what you would say. They belong as a group together as a Hall of Fame coach and as first ballot Hall of Fame coaches. Back to the phone lines and the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Go ahead.
We've got Maury, and he's fired up about Hall of Fames in general.
Yes, I bet he is. How you doing, man?
Hey, Matt, I'm good. You know what? Let me tell you, I don't understand the concept of, the voting process, and it infuriates me the way these guys go about it, Matt, because let's face it, these are museums of history, okay? Halls of history, if we need to use the hall word. And I don't care. Life is full of good history and bad history. It's all famous if it's history for us in sports. And that's what should be in there. Pete Rose, what have you. Bill Belichick, part of his history is that, but dude's still first ballot, no question. I mean, let's not be dumb here. Get him in there. And when they don't do that stuff, it just, it just reeks of a holier than thou, or, hey, I got no stones to throw, nobody's that guy. None of those people are those, are them. So I just don't get it. It's always bothered me, and you can tell.
You are 100% right. 100. The holier than thou belief, and this is what makes fans question some of those Hall of Fame voters. I don't care whatever sport. When you and I could be drinking a beer, having a discussion, and both agree that this guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer without even having to look up all his statistics that only support our argument, it makes you and I start to ask, why do those voters feel like they know more than me? It opens it up to an awful lot of speculation. So I agree
100%.
with you. Yeah.
Well, it's the same reason Jack Morris wasn't in there when he should have been. Lou Whitaker should be for whatever reason. He's not. But, I mean, it's one or two people's perspective or an overriding opinion by some, uninformed, pompous individuals in my book, dude. It just
I agree with you.
Smell test around here these days. That's a fact.
Yeah, no, I great call. Thank you. I agree with you. There is, look, I think you and I would both agree that we would. Jack Morris, there's a battle there for Jack Morris. Okay. I remember standing up for Jack Morris, not because he was my partner in the booth for a couple of years, but because I thought he was one of the best big game pitchers of all time. And sorry, but I think those things do matter. All right. Those are things that have to be taken into account. If you're going to count championships, you got to count the way the guy pitches or performs en route to that championship. It's one of the things that held a guy like Alex Rodriguez back on getting his flowers, even though he's not in the Hall of Fame, and getting his flowers as one of the better players in baseball, because they didn't feel like he performed well in the postseason until there was a special year with the Yankees. But Jack Morris was one of those big game pitchers. The argument that people had for me was, well, you realize he would have the highest ERA in Cooperstown if he got voted in. I said, okay, well, somebody's got to have it. Who has it now? Any idea? Every person, every voter I asked him that of could not answer that question. I had to tell them it was Red Ruffing.
Right. If it matters so much, then, who is it now?
Yeah,
who has the lowest free throw percentage in the NBA Hall of Fame right now? Could you tell me?
You should have it right away.
Yeah.
Right? People should understand that. Okay?
Probably Ben Wallace.
The Lou Whitaker thing, it's not that I thought he was a first ballot Hall of Famer. My frustration with him was 1 year, 2.9% of the vote. He was off after that. And talking with Hall of Fame voters back then, or not back then, but when I started doing this profession, was, well, you know what? We just didn't see him enough. That infuriated me. We'll talk more on the other side of this. Thanks for the phone call. Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. You can always text us, Sports Radio 21,000. Tim Hardaway joins us 8:35 on X's and Bros.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard, only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
Coming up later today at 3 on the Huge Show on the Michigan Sports Network, I'll deliver huge opinions on everything you're talking about.
I think oftentimes, welcome back, by the way, 18 after the hour. Oftentimes when you talk about Hall of Fame, inevitably, what you're going to do is you're going to start comparing people. Tell me if you think I'm wrong here. You start looking up other people who might be there, trying to figure out. You're trying to use your mind to justify why this guy might not be there.
Yeah, because you want to see what it takes. You know, you want to see if a current guy, if you can compare it to someone who's already cleared the bar.
Absolutely. Yeah, good point. Freddie sends us a text. He says, where the hell is Buddy Parker and Tom Coughlin? Does George Seifert deserve to be in? Well, those are really good questions. Okay. So Buddy Parker, in case people didn't know, he won championships here in Detroit. Whoopee! Yeah, all right. But it's true. I mean, it was big. They won the championship in 1952. They beat the Cleveland Browns. In 1953, they beat the Cleveland Browns as well. All right. They also then lost to the championship to Cleveland in 1954. He wasn't the 1957 coach. He was in Pittsburgh by then. So he's a guy who coached a year in Chicago, came to Detroit, then went to Pittsburgh. 104-75 for Buddy Parker. All right. The 104 wins. The 104 wins are, number 42 all time. He had a 58% winning percentage. But his 104 wins are one more than John Madden. Now, I can't recall. Trent maybe can help me with this. John Madden is in the Hall of Fame because I don't think it's because of his coaching.
Yeah, I think he's in as a contributor, they called it.
I think he's in as a contributor because of what he meant to football. And I don't disagree with that, by the way. He won a Super Bowl with the Raiders. I do not disagree that he should be there. All right. But he's got one fewer win than Buddy Parker. Buddy Parker is one of 5 head coaches to win multiple titles who are not in the Hall of Fame. The others are Lou Saban, George Seifert, who won 2 with the 49ers and has 114 career wins, which you might say, still isn't enough. Okay. It's more than Don Coryell. And Don Coryell's in. And Don Coryell never made it to a Super Bowl, let alone win a Super Bowl. Just food for thought. That's all. Oh, and by the way, George Seifert also has a better winning percentage than Don Coryell at 65%. Oh, and by the way, he also has fewer losses than Don Coryell. And this is what I mean about comparing people. I don't want to compare. I don't like to compare. I'm not suggesting Don Coryell doesn't belong, but when you see that happen and you're wondering if another guy deserves to be there, I think it's okay then to kind of peek under the blanket a little bit and see what exactly the other coach has on this guy.
Yeah, what did he do to deserve the spot? What did you see in him? Why'd you vote for him? This is why you should be able to ask the voters. What?
100%.
Because there can be a right answer. You can explain it to me and maybe I'll agree with you. Why did you vote for him but not this guy?
Right. Yeah.
Just explain yourself.
So he brings up Tom Coughlin. Excellent question. Excellent question. Because Tom Coughlin's got 170 wins. He took Jacksonville to the playoffs. He won 2 championships with the Giants. The 170 wins is really impressive. Okay. He's got 170 wins, which is the same as Mike Shanahan, who also has 2 world championships, by the way, with the Denver Broncos. Both of those men have multiple rings and more wins than Bud Grant, than Joe Gibbs, than Steve Owen, than Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher's in the Hall of Fame. He's got a championship. Good for him. He's got 149 wins and a 62 win percentage. He was really good. You're trying to tell me those numbers are better than Shanahan and Coughlin, who also have more wins and more Super Bowls than Marv Levy, Tony Dungy, Hank Stram, Weeb Eubank, Sid Gilman, Dick Vermeil, George Allen, Don Coryell. Can't figure it out. And that's just to name a few. Okay? I like Bud Grant. I respect the hell out of Joe Gibbs. I think Marv Levy deserves to be there. But when Freddie brings up these names, These are the discussions you eventually have to have because you're trying to justify not just the guys who are in the Hall of Fame, and they deserve to be there, but the guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame. Justify it for me in that regard. Well, Shep, you can't vote for everybody. Well, I'm not asking you to vote for everybody. I'm asking you why you didn't vote for those guys. It doesn't take a lot of research, does it? If I had a Hall of Fame vote, I think one of the most important things to do is to ask other people. You don't know it all. It's okay. Trent, sorry, you don't know everything. Matt, sorry, you don't know everything. You're right. So here's what you do. You ask people who have knowledge about a subject you're interested in. Why is that so off base? It's ridiculous. Okay. You and I don't know everything about basketball. Why do you think we have Tim Hardaway on? We have him on at 8:35. Tim, what do you think about Tobias Harris? Would you get rid of him? What do you like about what the Pistons are doing right now? What are they missing? It either validates your beliefs or gives you a different perspective on something you may not thought of. That's not too far off base, is it? I hope not. We had Lindsey Hunter on last week. We've had hockey guests on. We've had insiders on. It's how you learn. The problem is there's too many Hall of Fame voters out there who say, sorry, Kramer, Seinfeld, I already know. I don't need you.
Bingo. That's exactly it. Because you're right, Shep. You know, you and I will sit here and listen to what Lindsey Hunter and Tim Hardaway have to say. There's a lot of people out there that won't. Nope, I know ball more than these guys do.
Right.
I'm in Ross St. Brown. A lot of you guys don't know ball. You know, that's how these athletes, some of them truly do feel, you know, like,
sure.
Let me tell you my opinion on the situation because you're completely wrong. Unfortunately, those are a lot of the people with votes.
What did we play last week? We played the Lawrence Taylor soundbite when somebody asked him about Barry Sanders. He said, man, you don't need to look at stats. You don't need to look at numbers. All you got to do is put the tape on.
Turn on the damn tape.
Tell. That's all you got to do, okay, on who the best running back of all time is. You and I played that because, you know, we're Detroit Lions fans, we're Barry Sanders fans, and we believe that. We've always believed that. But when other people say, well, it could be Jim Brown. Okay, let me think. It could be Emmitt Smith. Okay, let me think. Could be Walter Payton. Okay, let me think. It could be Eric Dickerson. It opens your mind a little bit. But then when you have somebody who's played against them, somebody who appreciates it at a different level than you and I, then you're damn right. You should be at least open to listening to that type of reasoning. And it's the same thing here. Bill Belichick, by far and away, is easily one of the greatest coaches in sports history, not just football, but in sports history. Is that debatable with Nick Saban and debatable with John Wooden and debatable with Scotty Bowman? You're damn right it is. But he's one of the few guys in that conversation. Where else you want to go with that is really up to you. Go ahead and throw Dan Gable in there if you want to as a wrestling coach at Iowa. I'm fine with that. I'm just telling you, there are certain iconic names associated with sports and associated with coaching more than anything else that belong in the conversation. And for more than 10 people to say, you know what? I'm going to show you because I have the power of a vote because you treated me inappropriately at a press conference is small and petty. This hour has been brought to you by Meyer. We're back after this.
You've worked hard for decades saving in pre-tax retirement plans like 401ks and IRAs, saving on taxes now. But as your retirement now approaches, you're going to get taxed at rates you have no control over. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Your 401k balance isn't worth what your statement says. You could lose thousands of dollars to taxes, and those distributions can impact other areas of your retirement like Social Security and Medicare. Could a Roth IRA conversion be of help to you? You've probably heard of Roth conversions, but it can be confusing. Should you convert all at once or over time? Where should you pay the taxes from? How do you know for sure? Get our free personalized Roth Blueprint analysis today to find out exactly what makes sense for you. Your Roth Blueprint could potentially increase your lifetime wealth by thousands of dollars. So get your free Roth Blueprint today. Text Blueprint to 844-867-8335. That's Blueprint to 844-867-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Huge here with a message to all of you Lions fans. My good friend Josh Garvey, who runs Doran Mayhew's Grand Rapids office, will join me every Thursday with former Lion Lomas Brown, and we'll go inside the Lions each and every week all the way through the Super Bowl. Doran Mayhew is proud to partner with The Huge Show, and we're proud to have a guy like Josh Garvey join us in studio every week. If you have a Lions question or comment, you can drop them at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook. Doran Mayhew, proud to be a part of the West Michigan community and across the entire state with their corporate worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan. So make plans every Thursday, 5 p.m. It's Josh Garvey, who is the managing shareholder at Doran Mayhew's GR office, with Lomas Brown on The Huge Show going inside the Lions every Thursday at 5 p.m.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break, but while you're waiting, be sure to vote on our daily poll question presented by MitchLionsWealth.com at XB Mornings on X.
Shop Meyer and bring more good to game day with buy 5, save 5 deals on watch party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The buy 5, save 5 deals at Meyer. Now that's the good life, a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meyer app.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Okay, 35 after the hour. An hour from now, Tim Hardaway will join us. We will talk about the NBA. We will talk about the Pistons. His son had 14 for Denver last night, but lost to the Pistons by 2. So we'll talk a little bit about that game, what he's noticed, and a whole lot more coming up here on X's and Bros, including, perhaps a little mid-season MVP voting suggestion. All right, speaking of voting, we've been talking about the Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I wonder if I could I'm trying to look at it possibly differently. So initially, it's kind of like the Drew Pensing hire. When he was hired, what was your first thought? Knee jerk. You and your buddies are around.
Who is this guy?
Like, who exactly? Right? 3 years. My God, you had a chance 4, and you rattle off name after name after name, right? You settle in, you read about him, his commitment to the run game, and you perhaps change your mind just a little bit, even though Brad Holmes says he's checked all the boxes. I would hope winning would be a box that was checked, but it wasn't. But anyway, so a lot of people may think, okay, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. And then they hire Mike Kafka, in all likelihood, to be their passing coordinator and assistant head coach. And you think to yourself, that's a lot of cooks in the offensive kitchen. But maybe you're looking at things slightly differently and saying to yourself, okay, I can see why. Maybe the Bill Belichick vote, you can look at it this way. 45 of the 50 voters who decide are media members. Every market or city has one. All right, so you have 32 city reps. For Detroit, it's Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. It's quite an honor. And then they have Pro Football Writers Association and some coaches like Tony Dungy is a voter. Dan Fouts is a voter. James Lofton is a voter. Bill Polian is a voter. There's one vote. You know that right away. All right. Lisa Salters is a voter. We could go on and on and on. All right. Jim Trotter, NFL Network, voter. Clark Judge, obviously. So there's different guys. All right. So do you think media members should have a vote in this process?
I do. I don't think it should be as big as it is.
Okay. Fair enough. When you say it shouldn't be as big as it is, 45. So you have Mary Kay Cabot in Cleveland, for example. How many is enough? If not 45, how many?
I'd say half that. Or how about this? 32. But, in theory, you can have one per each market.
Okay, thank you. You can't just say, I'm glad you walked that back. You can't just say half that, because then you've got to, okay, what markets deserve it?
Right. Okay, so 32.
All right, so you say 32. So of the 50 voters, some could argue that you should probably have more voters, but of the 32, so you're looking at 18 people who are not media members, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here's my problem with certain media voters. The people who are up for election, those media voters may not have seen them. So you got to do your research, right?
Mm-hmm. And are we trusting them to do their research?
Exactly. You don't always have to have seen a player play. You didn't see Walter Payton play, did you? No, you didn't. You're too young. Do you think he's a pretty good player? I think it's fair to say that if Trent Bally went and did some research, he would come out with the conclusion that Walter Payton is a great player. These guys are obvious. It's the other players who might be on a ballot who you might have to think, is he worthy? Terrell Davis is a really good example. Have you ever looked? Do you know who Terrell Davis is?
Yeah, Broncos running back. Yep.
Okay, right. So this is a guy who, without a doubt, had a 4-year span that was as good as just about anybody you've ever seen run the football. Yeah, he's a dominant player. All right. Now, remember this. He played 7 years in the National Football League. That's it. His last 4 years, he played a total of 17 games. His last 4 years, he rushed for, or 3 years, I apologize. His last 3 years, he rushed for 211, 282, and 700 yards. What's so great about that? Nothing. First 4 years, 1,100, 1,500, 1,700, and over 2,000. 1 year, he led the league in rushing. 2 years, he led the league in touchdowns. But his playoff numbers are outstanding. Okay? He's a winner. 7 years. That's a debatable guy to be in the Hall of Fame because he had a span of 4 years that was incredible. There's a lot of guys out there who've had really good 4-year stints. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I'm sure that was a very debatable topic, even though he's won 2 Super Bowls, even though he was an MVP of a Super Bowl. Desmond Howard was the MVP of a Super Bowl. That doesn't mean he belongs in the Hall of Fame. It helps your case, but you understand where I'm going with it, okay? It's a debatable topic. Media members, had they seen him? I don't know. You could do some research and recognize that it is worthy of a discussion. The problem that happens, there is no right solution. There isn't. When people say, well, there's 45 media members, Belichick not getting in just exposes the problem that they've had for a long time. Media members should have absolutely no say in who receives the game's greatest honor. If not media members, or if only 32 media members, who else? Do you think media members can become very biased?
Extremely.
For sure, right? You're biased. I'm biased.
Of course we are.
Every one of these writers, I'll guarantee you, at some point, they're biased. I'm not going to try and tell you that Vic Carucci is going to vote for every Buffalo Bills because he works in that market. And actually, I think he works for the team. I could be wrong there. But I know he does some stuff for NFL radio too. But it's a blurred line. When you become close to players or close to coaches and organizations, there is a tendency, it's human nature, to kind of side with them to a certain extent. If not them, who? Well, if you're going to tell me ex-coaches or you're going to tell me ex-general managers, the report is from ESPN, sources have told them that Bill Polian's sitting there going around telling people Bill Belichick should be penalized for Spygate and Deflategate by at least 1 year. And people followed them and listened to him. Why is it the media members who get torched for bias? You don't think Tony Dungy's got friends and he would like to see them in the Hall of Fame? And I like Tony Dungy a lot. I think he's a hell of a person. I think he does a good job at broadcasting. I thought he was a hell of a coach. Hall of Fame coach is debatable, depending on what you think your standards are. You don't think there's some bias? I mean, come on. Give me a break. You don't think there's any bias from Dan Fouts? Come on. Of course there is. There's bias from everybody. There is no perfect scenario. That's the problem with it. How you go about that, how you get that, how you fix that, that's what you've got to decide. There has to be a balance, don't you think? There's got to be a balance of historians, of current writers, current broadcasters that are hired by the team would be off limits. Broadcasters who aren't, they become biased too, but they see a lot of players. I've said this forever. It is unfathomable to me that somebody, Don Orsillo in San Diego, who's been calling baseball for a long time with the Red Sox, now with the Padres, that there is a writer who has spent 10 years writing about a team, has a Hall of Fame vote, but that dude has seen every single game his Red Sox team played and his Padres team played, and he doesn't have a vote. It is unfathomable that Tom Hamilton, the longtime great play-by-play voice of the Cleveland Guardians before Cleveland Indians, doesn't have a Hall of Fame vote. Makes no sense.
And that's where it gets dicey, is if you're going to give one vote per market, who gets the vote? You know, like who would you, maybe you have an answer, maybe you don't, or maybe you don't want to give the answer.
Who decides to get that vote?
Exactly.
That.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea, because who would you give the vote to in the Detroit market?
For football?
For football, yes.
So before it would have been Mike O'Hara, and I'm sure it was Mike O'Hara. It would be hard to have Tim Twentyman because he works for the Lions. I think Dave Burkett's a pretty good representative. Tom Kowalski, I believe, used to do that too. Tom Kowalski, I knew that man. He was a good dude, great dude. Miss him to this day. He was objective.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dave Burkett's objective. I do
too. Yeah. That's where my mind went, but I didn't know if you had a different perspective because you probably have a better feel for this. But I'm just curious, if you only get one.
The other issue is a lot of newspapers, well, now online, they like to change things up with their writers and not necessarily pigeonhole them. At least that's the way it used to be. Maybe not as much anymore, but not pigeonhole them into one sport. They want them to become a little bit more diversified, which I disagree with. That's how you gain sources, and that's how you hold on to sources. That's how you get scoops. That's how you
build trust.
Information.
Yeah.
So I would disagree with that. I think Detroit's got it right. I can't say that every single market. I don't know if Jeff Legwold is the right guy in Denver. People in Denver would have a better idea than I would. It makes sense to have 32, one per city. It does. It makes a lot of sense. The question is, who are the other 18 and what are their credentials? So if they're national credentials, someone like a Jason Cole, someone like a Lindsey Jones or a Clark Judge. Okay, I get it. The problem you may have is a lot of people can be swayed by other people and with teams and players that they cover or that they work with, I might add. That's the hard part. There isn't, I don't know how you get it right. Okay. Some people think that the voting rights should be restricted only to former players and coaches that are currently all in the Hall of Fame. If you don't think there'll be just as much bias and questioning as there is now, you're sorely mistaken. Because a lot of those players are going to lobby for their teammates. They're guys. And so are coaches. They're going to lobby for their players and the men who used to be on their staff and went on to be a head coach elsewhere. Not like, Ben Johnson and Matt LaFleur would for one another, but guys who have coached against one another at times, who have gained some mutual respect for one another.
Can I ask you, do you see that as a problem? Or do you see that as, could that be potentially helpful? Because I know that you, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, I know that you have been very outspoken about how certain organizations don't push their players, the Tigers, right? They don't push their players to get Hall of Fame notoriety, right?
Correct.
So could it help to have a buddy vouching for you?
Well, it hasn't helped Jack Morris and Alan Trammell vouching for Lou Whitaker, has it?
No, not so far. And it's not like it's going to work in every case. I'm just saying, do you think it would be such a bad thing to have some buddy stuff going on? Because those guys do know each other and they do know who deserves it and who doesn't, for the most part, right?
Well, you hope you would.
You'd like to think so.
Think they would.
Yeah.
But when I bring up the short answer to that is yes. But when I bring up how certain players feel about other players, Calvin Johnson, Golden Tate, Nate Burleson talking about Matthew Stafford, how much does that impact you or anybody else who doesn't like him in the first place? Can you vote for somebody who you hated on the football field? What you're asking individuals to do is put all bias aside and vote based on the person's credentials and how good they were when you played against or with them. Is that possible?
Yeah, in a perfect world, you'd have to cast your vote with a blind resume of the player. And then, but you can't do that because context does matter. Like Terrell Davis, it does matter that, he only played 7 years, but his peak was insane. So, you got to vote for him, right?
But you can do that. I think that's an excellent idea. Why do you have to have the name associated with the numbers? Why can't you give somebody, if Trent Balley's got a vote, I'm going to give you these players and I'm going to give you their information. Luke Kuechly, how many times? And you don't know his name. You got an idea.
Yeah. He's either a Hall of Famer or he isn't.
Right. You got an idea. Well, you're going to either vote for him or not. I mean, there's a reason guys have a certain span. Okay. In baseball, you got 10 years to get there. There's a reason for that because you can't vote for everybody on the first time. Huh? Mm-hmm. It's like being in the community. You'd love to do everything for the community all the time, but you can't say yes to everybody.
Right. So after 10 years of not getting in, it's like, okay, we've given you a chance here.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I think that's probably, it'd be a great way to go about that. Part of the issue is everybody knows who's up for Hall of Fame status, and you have to get to semifinalists first. And everybody wants to know who those semifinalists are. If I give you a blind resume of a semifinalist, I think you're going to be able to figure it out who it is.
Right. So that's why it doesn't really solve the problem. I just think in theory that would alleviate some of the bias. Because it's like you might be the biggest homer for the Packers in the world, but you see Brian Urlacher's stats and you're like, okay, yeah, he's got to be in the Hall of Fame. Oh, it's Brian Urlacher? I'm not voting for him.
Right. The problem with that, too, Trent, is there's going to be a bias no matter what. Bill Polian, you would guess, if I told you Bill Polian was a Hall of Fame voter, you would have said, makes sense. Look at his resume. Look at how he evaluated talent. Look at the coaches he's hired. He knows football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Okay? And yet he had a bias against Bill Belichick. How you fix it?
I just don't get the whole. I don't love the whole reasoning that's coming out about it. The whole we're going to make him wait a year because of Spygate. Dude, if you're against Spygate, if that's ethically, which you should be, because you're right, Shep, it was despicable. It's cheating. But if you're going to make him wait a year, but he's going to get in anyways, I don't. To me, it defeats the purpose. Like Bill Belichick should be laughing about this whole thing. Like I'm in your guys' heads that much that you're going to keep me out for 1 year and then put me in next year.
Well, or pissed off because Bill Polian has that much
influence.
An influence.
Yeah. I'm sure it's both.
Spygate took place in 2007, I believe.
Sounds right.
Bill Belichick already won 3 Super Bowls by then. Okay. I'm not justifying what he did. Please don't think I am. But in 2007, they won the AFC Championship. But they lost. Did they not lose to the
Giants? Yeah, that was the first loss.
Okay. So they didn't win another Super Bowl until 2014. And then he ended up winning 3 more Super Bowls. Okay. He won it in 2013 or 14, I should say. Then he won it in 2016. And then he won it in 2018. At the time, Spygate was a serious issue. Now that we have a chance to look back at it, how much of a problem / advantage did it give him? It had to have given him some advantage. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done the damn thing, right? But it didn't pay off for him.
But I like what Maury said about how, yes, there's going to be stains on some of these guys, and it needs to get brought up. But at the end of the day, there's your phrase, Shep. It's a very small fraction of what the story of Bill Belichick is and what Bill Belichick meant to football with his 6 Super Bowls. Put him in the damn Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And he'll get in. But, man.
Agreed. There's another guy who's going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he said something recently that's kind of ridiculous, and we're going to get Tim Hardaway's thoughts on it at the bottom of the hour when we begin the final hour of X's and Bros. This hour has been brought to you by Meyer. Stay with us.
Mitch Lyons here, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth, where we create your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement. I'm here with Tiger legend Kirk Gibson, who we are proud to support and partner with on the newly opened Kirk Gibson Center for Parkinson's Wellness.
Thanks, Mitch. We appreciate your support, and we are excited to have recently opened the center in Farmington Hills. It provides exercise therapy and educational programs that are helping the Parkinson's community, just like Mitch Lyons Wealth helps improve the quality for their clients' retirements. This center helps improve the quality of life for people with Parkinson's.
And Gibby, the best part of all is that access to the center is available to the Parkinson's community free of charge, right?
That's right, absolutely free of charge for people with Parkinson's and their care partners.
You hit a couple of the most famous home runs in Major League history, Gibby, but I feel that your greatest hit will be the positive impact the Kirk Gibson Center is making in the fight against Parkinson's.
Mitch, since my diagnosis, I get up every day and focus on winning that day. This center encourages others to do the same.
Awesome, Gibby. To learn more, go to kirkgibsoncenter.org.
NFL playoffs. Hey, let's go. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every moment feel bigger. In the postseason, the game shifts fast, and with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay right in that moment. Make every moment matter this NFL postseason with DraftKings. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire half, so why bet player props anywhere else? It doesn't make any sense. New customers, here's your shot. That $5. And if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE to turn $5 into $300 bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility and restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Additional terms at DKNG.com/audio. Limited time offer.
Step into luxury this January with a $275,000 Escalade giveaway at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Friday and Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 2 lucky guests will win $250 in premium play and 250 bonus entries every hour. And don't miss the grand finale on January 30th and 31st at 11 p.m. One lucky winner each night will drive away in a 2026 Cadillac Escalade. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
Shop Meyer and bring more good to game day with buy 5, save 5 deals on watch party fan favorites. Mix and match and save $5 when you buy 5 or more go-to party items, like select varieties of DiGiorno frozen pizzas and Late July tortilla chips. 24 packs of select Pepsi products, plus deposit where applicable, and Brawny paper towels. The buy 5, save 5 deals at Meyer. Now that's the good life, a good deal better. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meyer app.
From Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Muskegon, Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Cadillac, Lansing, and beyond, you are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard only on the Michigan Sports Network.
Okay, final hour of our program on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for being with us. In case you missed it last night, Pistons were a 2-point winner in Denver. Tim Hardaway is going to join us at the bottom of the hour to discuss it. Detroit 109, Denver 107. Cade Cunningham 22 points, 11 assists, 0 turnovers. Love that statistic. Tobias Harris added 22 points, 8 boards. Pistons have won 9 of 11. We talked about it earlier. How much more valuable has Tobias Harris come? I mean, do people think he's an automatic trade candidate still when he's been really important lately? I think that's a discussion that probably still has to be had. And whether or not Detroit is going to make a move. Look, they're the best team in the East. There's no question. You could argue they're the second best team in basketball. Cade Cunningham's a superstar. JB Bickerstaff is an all-star coach. This is the fine line that general managers have to consider. I think a lot of people do too, but this team's in a really good spot, man. Do you want to mess with that? If you constantly tell me the chemistry is really important, how much are you factoring in that? And with Tobias Harris's recent success and how important he's been, granted, the team is 13-2 when he doesn't play. Who else does what he does? The mid-range turnaround jumper, the 15-foot jumper, the post-up and kick-out, the defense that he has shown as of late.
I think the 13-2 when he doesn't play can be slightly misleading because the Pistons are just a good team. Like they can be down anyone. They could be down Duran. They could be down Cade. They've shown they can win without. So It's not like they win in spite of him, because that record almost suggests that. That's not the case.
Agreed. Yeah, that's perfectly put. I don't disagree with any of that. You're right. They've done it with other players. Okay. They've done it with guys who we would consider, look, really important. Cade Cunningham is the best player, not just on this team, but you could make the argument he's the best player in the Eastern Conference. All right. And he has missed 6 games? Detroit's 5-1 without him. So that's a good point by you. Michigan and Michigan State comeback winners last night, in case you missed that. Michigan overcomes 19 turnovers, beat Nebraska by 3. Michigan State was down their largest deficit of the season and came back and won at Rutgers in overtime, 88-79. Red Wings lose to the Kings 3-1, despite Patrick Kane picking up an assist and tying Mike Modano for most points by an American-born hockey player. Our Mitch Lanswell poll question, most impressive comeback Tuesday night. Michigan at home against Nebraska, MSU on the road against Rutgers. Vote as often as you want. Let's go to the phone lines. The Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. Trent, go ahead.
Yeah, Freddie was at the Red Wings game last night. He said at one point he looked up to the rafters and had a thought that he wants to share.
Oh, nice. Freddie, good morning, my friend. I could use a warm Freddy's pizza right now because of how cold it is. What's going on?
Anytime. Good morning, Shep. As I was on hold, I'm kind of with you. I don't see how they trade Tobias Harris, and I know if they want to make a big trade, they have to kind of throw him in because of the contract. Yeah. But if you think about it, Trajan Langdon got kind of demolished for signing him, number one. And Cade Cunningham has been a better player since he's been here. Tobias Harris, meaning he's taking. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
Okay. So he's taken over he's taken over as a leader on and off the court. I think Tobias Harris has a lot to do with that. Tobias Harris is a good dude, number one, and I just think it's almost like Kenny Rogers or Justin Verlander in 2006. It just kind of got that feel. So
yeah, I think that's that's a really good example. I think that's a good comparison. With all due respect, I don't care if the guy's a good guy. Rasheed Wallace wasn't a good guy, okay? And
of course,
he helped the team. Bill Laimbeer wasn't a good guy, but he helped the team. I want to know how good you are as a player. I'd prefer that you were a good guy. As long as you're a good teammate, you do the right thing for your team, and you're a good player, those should be first and foremost. Being a good guy, I used to think mattered, Freddie. I no longer think that.
No, and I think every locker room needs that one guy that stirs the pot a little bit and just kind of changes the mood in the room sometimes, especially when things are going too good or going too bad. That one guy can kind of stir the pot and maybe just center everybody. But the reason why I called is, I was up at the game. I was at the game yesterday, and I don't go there often, so I was looking up at the rafters. Of course, I see the Pistons and their numbers. I was looking for Fennis Dembo up there because they retire everybody. But, you start looking at Trent's like, who's Fennis Dembo? So I'm looking up at the Red Wings, and, I started thinking, Matthew Stafford gave a lot to this town. Eventually, I think they're going to retire his number. Justin Verlander, he gave a lot to this town. I think they're going to retire his number, and they both left. And now we have all this Tarek Skubal talk, and I'm looking up there, and they just retired Sergei Fedorov. Sergei Fedorov, I know you probably never saw him play, but I don't think they win a cup without him. That just is my opinion, but I don't think they win a cup without him. I think if you play today, he's the greatest hockey player today in today's game. And I know that's taking a lot away from McDavid, and that's the debate, but he was such a great player, and he stayed here until he left, but he was here for a while. And Tarek Skubal, does he ever cross his mind that he's just starting this with the Tigers? He's been here for a few years, but he's the best pitcher in baseball. He's a god in this town. I know he wants his money, and I'm not saying he shouldn't, but does he ever think about, if I stay here, I could be Sergei Fedorov. I could be that guy up in the rafters, and
I don't
be a legend in this town.
I'm sure he thinks, and thanks for the phone call, Freddie. I'm sorry, we're up against it. I think he does believe, the legendary thing. I'm not sure. I think whether or not they can win championships. Could he be as beloved as Justin Verlander? Yes. And I do think they will retire Verlander's number. I don't think the Lions will do that with Stafford. Sorry. I mean, I could be way wrong there. He might. First of all, I don't think they retire numbers. They put them in the Ring of Fame. I'm trying to think. Joe Schmidt's number was retired 56. Barry Sanders, I believe.
Yeah, they just put Lomas in two seasons ago, I think.
In the ring, right?
Yeah, in the ring.
They didn't retire his number.
You're talking about numbers that aren't worn anymore. Period. That's what you're talking about, because there is a difference, which you're getting to. Yes,
correct. I don't think Stafford will be there. Even though he's the best quarterback the Lions have ever had, he will not. I don't think he will be there.
I think he'll get put in the Ring of Honor, but they won't retire 9. Guys are already wearing 9 for the team,
Yeah, but
they don't issue 81. Put it that way. They don't let anyone wear 81 right now on this team for Calvin.
Yeah.
So you can kind of read the tea leaves a little bit there. Like, they're going to retire 81, so it will never be worn again by a Lion. I don't think they're going to do that with 9. I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. I'm trying to think. Just because players are wearing 9 doesn't mean that they wouldn't retire it, because 81 was worn after Calvin left. Okay.
I don't think it has been.
Yeah, somebody wore 81.
Was it a practice squad player? Because I haven't seen 81 since then. I could be wrong, but
I'm pretty sure somebody has worn it. It may not have been long, but I'm pretty sure somebody has worn it. I need to look that up.
I was under the impression they don't even issue it out, but I could be. Off there.
Maybe since he's retired, or since he was into the Hall of Fame, or something along those lines. But remember, there was a problem. There was a problem between Calvin Johnson and the Lions.
Yeah, for a while there. Yep.
So let me see if I can remember that, and see if I can look that up, because that's how I remember. But I'm sure. I'm sure Tarek Skubal has a lot on his mind. I don't know if he's thinking about Sergei Fedorov, and is this the kind of guy I can be? And just to your point, Sergei Fedorov was an unbelievable player. I don't think the Red Wings win a cup without Yzerman. I don't think they win a cup without Lidstrom. I don't think they win a cup without Shanahan. All right? There's a lot of guys on that team that were borderline irreplaceable. And Fedorov was one of them. Quick timeout. We'll get to the final results of our poll question and the daily wager. Tim Hardaway at 8:35 here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
This week is filled with intensity. Two of the best teams in college basketball clash for the first time this year, Friday night in East Lansing. It's Michigan State Week, and we want to send you to the game at the Breslin Center. The Huge Show will broadcast live from Soaring Eagle Thursday from 3 until 6 in the afternoon. The winner will be drawn and take a friend to the game with Bill Simonson. Metro Cars and Metro Cab of Grand Rapids will allow you to ride and arrive in style. They will pick you up and drop you off Friday afternoon. Lansing Brewing Company will host a happy hour pregame from 3 until 5 at their brewery in the Stadium District. They'll have a pair of additional tickets to give away. And Shep will host a watch party Friday night at Ascend inside Soaring Eagle with former Spartan Mitch Lyons. Listen to X's and Bros in the morning and the Huge Show in the afternoon. And text the word Soaring Eagle to 21,000 to register. The word is Soaring Eagle to 21,000. And good luck.
It's time to go on the court.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, your getaway reimagined. Trent Valley here, and with Nikola Jokic still in street clothes for Denver, you'd expect the first-place Pistons to handle the Nuggets just fine, right? Well, they got it done, but it was a little bit closer than expected on Tuesday, with the Pistons winning 109 to 107. They held a modest lead for nearly the entire game, up 13 after a quarter and up 6 at halftime. But the Nuggets hung around thanks in large part to Jamal Murray's craftsmanship inside the arc, overcoming an 0-for-6 night from deep for 24 points. However, with the game tied in the final seconds, Murray missed a crucial free throw while Tobias Harris knocked down a pair of clutch ones for Detroit as his 22 points tied Kate Cunningham for a team high. And the Pistons escaped with a win by a bucket. That's 34 wins on the season, still atop the East. Next up, they've got the Phoenix Suns in the desert tomorrow.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
Football season's not over yet. You know that, right? There's still one massive game to go. Sportsbook, DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL, recognizes that more than anybody else. They know you are into it. They know your passion. They want you to make every moment feel bigger. And with DraftKings live betting options, you can stay in that moment. You can live that moment bigger. Plus, DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half of the Super Bowl, you're going to get paid in cash. With DraftKings, you're covered through the entire first half of the Super Bowl. Why would you bet player props anywhere else? New customers, here's your perfect chance in the big game. Bet $5, and if that bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code HUGE. That code is HUGE, H-U-G-E, and turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 years or older, Michigan only. Eligibility restrictions do apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire within 7 days. For additional terms and conditions, go to dkng.com/audio for a limited time offer. As a friend of mine likes to say, we back. Yeah, we are back. Welcome back, X's and Bros. Tim Hardaway from the Crossover Podcast is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. We'll get to the final results of the poll question and the daily wager brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort here in a moment. I want to play you something, or Trent and I wanted to play you something because even though Trent loves this guy, I'm still trying to figure out why. I'll probably never know the answer. But this is LeBron James. Making excuses is unfair.
Contextualizing. Is that fair?
How about this? Talking more about the hardships that he and other players have today compared to back in the day. Go ahead.
I want people to understand and our fans to understand that playing 82 games in the 80s and 90s is not the same as playing 82 games in the 2020s. The way we play, the level of pace, the level of the speed that we're playing at, it's a different game now. And, it's a lot of soft tissue injuries that's happened now because of it. I hope we can get a handle on that as well. Because that's big in our game. I think when I first came into the league, some of the biggest concerns of injuries was like a high ankle sprain. You was afraid to step on somebody's ankle because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. So, guys with athleticism, myself, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter, to name a couple guys, sometimes you're afraid to take off into the lane because there was 4 or 5 guys sitting in the paint. If you land on somebody's ankle, you get a high ankle sprain, you out 4 to 6 weeks. You don't really see that as much now because the game is so spread open. It's so much pace. But now you see the new high ankle sprain is the calf.
Yeah. I'll be honest. Has there ever been a more self-indulging athlete in the history of sports besides maybe Ricky Henderson than LeBron
Floyd
James?
Mayweather.
Yeah, good one. Good one.
But other than that, no, I can't.
He
I
went
can't think of
undefeated.
one.
He backed it up with being undefeated.
Yeah.
This guy makes it impossible for me to like him first. More and more difficult to respect him. It's hard not to respect him. When you play, 1,600 games in your career and you do it at the age of 41 and at such a high level, he's an amazing, an absolute freak of an athlete. Okay. I don't care whether you like him or not. At age 41, averaging 21.5 points per game is ridiculous. But the whole, the high level athletes, myself, of course you got to throw yourself in there. Don't let anybody else talk about you. You talk about yourself on a constant basis. It's nauseating. It's disgusting. The great Larry Bird didn't do this. Magic Johnson didn't do this. Kobe Bryant didn't do this. Shaquille O'Neal didn't do this. Michael Jordan didn't do this. But that's the new era. The new era isn't just calf and soft tissue. The new era is I'm going to promote myself constantly over and over and over. Great clip out there right now that they were playing the Bulls and he's on the bench saying, give me the ball. I want the ball. Give me the ball. They give him the ball. He makes a move in the lane. He throws up an air ball. And it makes you giggle. Don't give it to Doncic, who's leading the league in scoring, but whatever. Okay. My problem is with what he said at the beginning. Playing 82 games is different than 82 games back in the day. Even though today you have much better technology, even though today you have days of rest, load management, and I don't mean that just for him. He deserves load management, and I mean that sincerely. When you are 41, you deserve to take certain games off. I'm sorry. I mean, it would be different if, he was back in his 22. And to his credit, he really didn't do that. LeBron James, you look at the games he played, 79, 80, 79, 78, 75, 81. He was one of those guys who played on a regular basis, unless he was hurt when he played 55 games. Lately in his career, mid-30s, who wouldn't break down every once in a while? No problem with that. I have no problem with load management at age 35 to 41, none whatsoever. He wants to do it. Kevin Durant wants to do it. That's fine. Okay. It's different now. You've got to be careful because those guys back in the day are starting more and more. You're seeing it. More and more are losing respect for you because of all the things that you're saying against them. Their travel was more difficult. Today, LeBron, you can stay that extra night in a city. Those guys are flying back right away. Back in the day, not all of them had the luxurious private planes like you did. Not all of them stayed in those 5-star hotels. I'm not saying they took trains like they did back in the 60s, okay? But even back then, even traveling with the Pistons on Pistons 1, I did it. It was nice. It's not like today's plane, all right? There is a slight difference, okay? The schedule, you think it's more difficult today? Do you think there were more teams associated in order to make up 82 games and you had less teams? Isaiah Thomas played, there were 23 teams. When he came to the Pistons, his team ranked 22nd, I believe, out of 23 teams in attendance. So that means what? You're playing the same team on a more regular basis to get to 82 games. They know you better back than they do today. You're making more cross-country trips than they are today. This belief that I've got to justify that it's harder for me than anybody else, than the past greats, so I should be measured against something different, is ridiculous.
Can I ask you a question?
Crap from this guy over and over. How in the world? This is not a shot at Trent, so please.
How can you like him?
How in the world do people look at this guy and go, yeah, this is a guy I would want to be. This is a guy I would buy a jersey of. Anybody else did this in any other sport or any other life, any other business, you'd be like, what a jackass.
A lot of athletes are self-indulgent. With him, it's magnified because of how great he is. It is
to this extent.
Man. I know, but he's so polarizing because of how great he is. I have a question for you. Do you think that and I'm not saying you're disagreeing, I just want to get your opinion on this. If Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich had come along and set the load management standard in the mid-late 70s, right? Because we agree that's who started this whole thing.
Yes.
If they had come along and done that in the late 70s, do you really think that Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Magic Johnson wouldn't have taken advantage of that? Or do you think they still would have played 82 games? Because I don't.
Well, I think, first of all, we can't prove that.
I know. That's why I'm asking you your opinion on it.
What would lead you to believe anything other than what those guys did on a regular basis? You don't think they could have rested? The load management thing is something that Popovich came up with, but guys could have rested prior to.
Yes, what I'm saying is it's now,
I don't want to play today or I deserve a rest today. They didn't do that.
I got you. I'm saying it's now accepted as the norm, whether you agree with it or not. It's just
not by me.
Another,
it's not.
Not by you because
I think you hold it against them. Look, and you just said he's polarizing because of how great he is. No, he's not. He's polarizing because of how he talks about himself. Every great player is polarizing. Michael Jordan was polarizing. Most of the people admired him, respected him, loved him, except for those of us here in Detroit, okay? Most great players carry that with them, but they don't talk about themselves and pat themselves on the back to nauseating amounts like he does.
Okay, so that's why you don't like him, and I agree that's the reason a lot of people don't like him. But I would also
also think he's somewhat overblown. During his prime, and I think he's one of the greatest players of all time, period. But during his prime, Larry Bird was better than LeBron James was as a number three.
And that's a matter of opinion. That's fine. I'm not going to fight you on that. What I'm saying is the reason I brought up the greatness part is you have Michael Jordan fans that can't wait to put him down. You've got Larry Bird,
Sure.
Magic Johnson fans, Kobe
Right.
Bryant fans that can't
Yes.
wait to put him down. That's what
Correct.
I'm saying.
And
He
you
is
have LeBron James fans who can't wait to prop him up.
Sure. And that's where here again, if the old heads, and I don't mean that in a negative way,
No, it's
but if
okay.
guys
Yeah.
like Charles Barkley and Magic are going to talk about how great the league was back then and how we didn't rest them, it's like LeBron's just taking a shot at your era, just like you're taking a shot at his right now. It doesn't, to me,
Just because one does it doesn't make the other one good, and doesn't make the other one right, and doesn't make it justified.
Sure.
Okay,
I can agree with you there.
If you want to get in that mud pit with them, go right ahead. But you're going to leave yourself open to speculation. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from yesterday before Tim Hardaway slips in here. The Mitch Lions Wealth poll question yesterday: which team is more likely to make a trade, the Wings or the Pistons? Who voted or how many voted for which?
66% said the Wings, so they think the Wings are more likely to go.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I think they both will, but especially the Wings. We'll take a quick timeout. Tim Hardaway is going to join us on the other side. Excited for this, and we will ask him about LeBron James's comments. That's next on X's and Pros.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. We'll be right back after this break, but while you're waiting, be sure to vote on our daily poll question presented by MitchLionsWealth.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Sometimes it's hard for young people to truly appreciate today's NBA without reflecting back on how great some of the players in the past have been. Nobody had a better crossover dribble than Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway was a winner, okay? 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. He is a Hall of Fame player, and he does a Hall of Fame podcast with Lindsey Hunter called Crossover, and it's fantastic. And we're fortunate that he's with us here today. Also loved following and calling all his son's college games. Tim Hardaway Jr., one of the best dudes you'll ever meet, and played the Pistons last night. Tim Hardaway Sr. joins us. Hi, Tim. How are you today?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. Yeah, your son, 14 points last night for Denver in a 2-point loss to the Pistons. First, what stuck out in your mind about that game? And what are your thoughts on the Pistons challenging for Eastern Conference supremacy this year?
Well, I say this. First thing, Denver is missing a bunch of guys on their team. Brown, Cam Johnson, of course, Jokic. Oh, and we're talking about Aaron Gordon. They're missing a bunch of guys on their team. So, but, they've been playing well without those guys. They've been playing well. A lot of people would have counted them out. A lot of people would have put them at the bottom of the Western Conference right now, but they number 3 in the West. And kudos to them, and kudos to the coaching staff for trusting the guys that they bring off the bench to stars who plays, and those guys going out there working on their craft and understanding that, hey, next man up, my number might be called. I got to be ready, and they have been ready, and they've been ringing a bell ever since. I tell you this about the Pistons, man. They're confident. They're confident. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their walks. You can see it in their demeanor. You can see how they play. They play hard. Everybody's off the bench playing hard. Everybody's playing for one another. It's not for me. And Coach Bickerstaff has this team playing at a high level. And I always said this, going all the way back to the playoffs. If they had Isaiah Stewart, they would have beat the New York Knicks in the playoffs and went to the second round easily. I think they would have beat them like 4-1 or 4-2. But when they didn't have their enforcer and Isaiah Stewart, that deflated them a lot, and they wasn't able to recover from that. Even though they had good games, you got to beat the New York Knicks in the playoffs because that's the NBA's team. And you got any close play is going the Knicks' way. So you have to beat them in the playoffs, and they didn't have enough to beat them in the playoffs. But I will say this right now. They looking good. They looking confident, and they looking like, hey, we belong, man. We here to stay.
Help me with this. At what point does a player become a veteran and no longer need the quote unquote veteran leadership associated with the team? I use this in reference to Tobias Harris being a veteran and still nurturing some of the younger players along. But at some point, those younger players are no longer young players. When is that, do you think?
Young players don't always be young players. As long as you're in the league, as long as you older than them, as long as you've been in the league, as long as them, you experience more, you know more, and you can educate them more. After your first year, you still a rookie until your first game or your second year. But you still got to learn. It's still a learning process. Cade really didn't learn because he was hurt too. To his credit, he was hurt, but he really didn't get into like his 3rd or 4th year when he started being healthy, and then was out there helping his team and understanding how we can win games. That's how it comes. That's how it's played out. You got to be out there in order for your team to believe in you. You can't be on the bench. You can't be, missing games. You can't be, in and out the lineup here and there. Your team is like, you're not in the fire with us all the time. So how do you know? So when you're in the fire all the time, like Cade has been the last 2 or 3 years, his team, and he's showing what he is capable of doing, and he is an all-star, and I think he's top 3 in the NBA for MVP right now. He's in my top 3 if I had a vote, no question. And so the team is confident. They backing him up, and that's their leader. So even though like I always said this, and a lot of people will always be like, "No, I don't think so." I wouldn't trade Tobias because Tobias Harris is your only legitimate post-up guy that gets you a good shot in the post that can settle you down in a half-court situation in the playoffs. And he showed that last night, possession after possession, when they needed to score
right
late in the ball game and they needed somebody to post somebody up, they went to the bias and he delivered. That's what you got to have. You got to have confidence in your veteran, too, that he can deliver. And I always said this. If you got the bias, you can't trade the bias, because I think that he's the only one on your team that can settle you down and get a good shot at the end of the game.
That's exactly what we said. You must have been listening to the show earlier. We're talking with Tim Hardaway with the Crossover Podcast. You can follow him on Twitter, Hardaway Sr., a 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA. 4 times he received MVP votes in the NBA. And a guy who played, man. I mean, you're talking about 75 games or more. Tim Hardaway was in that lineup 7 times in his career. He did not take time off. We'll get to that coming up as well. You bring up Tobias Harris. You bring up Cade Cunningham, all for good reason. Jalen Duren has improved. You mentioned Isaiah Stewart. What do you think this Pistons team needs?
What I think they don't need nothing. I think if it's not broken, don't fix it. I think they nucleus. I think their team is right where they need to be at. They have shooters. Duncan. I mean, first of all, Karis LeVert, you got to stay off the bench. You got to play. You got to play. You got to stop being injured. We paid you enough money to not be injured. You need your butt out there on the floor to help us. Mm-hmm. And I think that, they missing his leadership out there too. Duncan had only 2 points. He had to dunk late in the game. I think that he got to start making shots. I think you got to run some offense for Duncan. You got to run some offense for your shooters, because if you don't get your shooters involved in the game, late in the game, they're not in rhythm to make shots. And you got to have them in rhythm to make shots. You got to go to them. You got to have them touch the ball. You got to get them involved in the offense sometime or another in the game. If you don't, then their rhythm is off, and they're not able to make the shots that you want them to make when it's time to make them. So me personally, I wouldn't fix nothing. It's not broken. I like the team the way it is. I like how it's structured.
Yeah, I do too. But let me just play devil's advocate for a minute. Other teams are going to do something. New York is sniffing around Drew Holiday. Okay. Boston is probably going to make a move. If you stand pat, you're better than anybody else right now. But what if those teams make some type of move to make themselves better? Not that you have to be reactionary all the time, but you have to keep that in the back of your mind that you may not need the biggest name out there, but you need somebody to add to this team a little bit. Case in point, how they played against Houston the other night.
Yeah, I tell you this. If New York gets Holiday, you're going to give up another guy that you're going to miss from New York. And then you got to get acclimated to what you're trying to do. I love Holiday. I love what he brings to the table and everything. I think that, I don't know. I think he'd be a good fit with New York, but you're going to miss something. Who you going to trade? Who do they want? You're going to send Miles Bridges over there, or you're going to send I can see if you can send some guys from the bench, but then Holiday got a big contract now. So it's got to be money for money too. So New York is in a situation where they better be careful, because if they mess up the nucleus, then they gonna be further back than what they think they're going to be. So you got to be careful. Michael Porter Jr., he don't move the needle for me. He don't he don't play defense. You got to give him the ball. He's up and down. I know Tobias is right there. I know Tobias can help us. I know he's legitimate each and every night, and I can count on him each and every night. Michael Porter, that's why Denver got rid of him. They couldn't count on him each and every night.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got, and then you're gonna mess up the nucleus. Then he gotta fit in. If he don't fit in, then he gonna be clashing with some of these other guys. These guys right here, they are for one another, and they're about one another. And you gotta be careful on. I need to get better. But who is going to move that needle for you? Who is going to make you go, like you say, go to that next level to championship? Right now, I think they got a championship team. Right now, I think they can go to the championship. Right now, they're the lead. As long as they stay healthy and they keep everybody around, because at different times, You put Holland in. You put some other guys in. They playing well, and they know what JB and the coaching staff wants out of them, and they can help the team. That's all I say. Just be careful.
Yeah. It really is a fine line, isn't it, on how you go about that? So I'm with you on that. Recently, LeBron James came out and said it is harder to play 82 games today than it was when you played back in the early 2000s and the 1990s. And I find that a little more than a little disrespectful. Full disclosure, never been a fan of his, self-promoter, but great player. But he talks about how back when you played, the lane was clogged and people had to worry about ankle injuries. Now it's more about soft tissue injuries and calf injuries because the game is so spread out. How do you react to something like that?
Well, first of all, if you go back to us playing back in the 90s, early 2000s, there was less ankles being hurt because, first of all, we wore high tops. These guys all wear low tops, okay? And if they come down wrong or if they slip on something, they twisting their ankle. So a lot of us wore high tops. That's first thing. Second thing, a lot of us drank a lot of milk. A lot of these guys on soy milk. A lot of these guys on vegan stuff. That don't help your bones out. Okay, we drank milk. Milk, they said it's calcium. It helps your bones. It helps build growth in your bones. Help your bones grow stronger and stronger and stronger. These guys, they grew up drinking soy milk. They grew up drinking oat milk and all that type of stuff. So their bones are not strong enough to sustain an 82-game season. Okay. Thirdly, you put that in your mind already. So when you put that in your mind, like work, dang, I don't feel like going to work next week, or it's gonna be tough for me to go to work next week or tomorrow, the next day, or I don't want to go. If you keep putting that in your mind, that's how you're gonna feel each and every day, like you're tired, like you don't want to go to work. They put that in their mind, like I can't play. It's too many games. It's hurting my body. When you think like that, that's what's gonna happen to your body. Your body gonna shut down. Okay, and that's what it's doing. People are like, I don't want to play. It's a lot of times we didn't want to play that night. A lot of times we didn't want to play on a back-to-back. But you know what? We were strong enough and we was mentally strong enough to go out there and do it. Their minds are not mentally strong enough to go out there and do it because they already looking at the schedule saying, I'm going to play this game. I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to play this game. I'm going to miss these 2 games. And they already looking at what games they are going to miss. So we took pride in playing 82 games. And when he says, it's more injuries now than it was then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they have load management now, and you didn't believe in that stuff. So I love that.
We didn't believe in that. We wanted to play because that's the way our minds was programmed. That's the way when your minds are programmed for stronger than what you thinking. Our minds was programmed to think strong. Our minds was programmed to go out there and play. Their minds are programmed, load management. I can take this off. I can take that off. That's
you guys were tougher individuals. I've got 1.5 minutes left. Let me ask you a quick question. What I love about your podcast crossover, you and Lindsey Hunter, you can find it where any place you get your podcast, and you can follow Tim Hardaway Sr. on X at Hardaway Sr. You guys are willing to go outside the realm of basketball. So I want to ask you this. You're a sports guy. I've known you for a long time. You're a sports guy as well as a basketball guy. The Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame did not include Bill Belichick, the all-time winningest Super Bowl coach in history, on the first ballot. How do you feel as a Hall of Famer yourself? Who should vote on Hall of Fames, do you think?
I don't know who should vote on Hall of Fame, but I tell you this, that's full of SHIT for them to do that to him. And then they put it on Spygate and that other stuff. That's wrong, man. That's totally wrong. That man is the first ballot Hall of Fame. No question, no doubt about it. And for them to do that is a slap in his face, and they terribly wrong, and that's just wrong to do it. I'm gonna say this about Coco Gauff. All right, everybody's upset with Coco Gauff. Don't follow her. She was out of the public's eye. This was something that she wanted to do. She was mad at herself, and y'all brought this on TV. it's some way, we are human beings too, and we get upset with ourselves too, and we need to go somewhere and vent too. And for them to show that on TV and say that, she is upset. Yes, she's upset. She has the right to be upset. And I disagree with people going after the game and shaking people's hands, especially in college. I got to get in this line and shake somebody's hand. Forget that line. I don't want to shake your hand. I got to go to the back. But if you go to the back, you get in trouble. So it's a lot of things I disagree with, and with people talking about us and thinking that we're not human. We are human. And Coco Golf, I applaud you. Go ahead. You don't have to. To me, you don't have to explain nothing.
The emotional part, we can't forget the emotional part and how we would feel. I say this all the time to fans. If you are upset and you are that emotionally involved, think about the person who's actually playing the game, the person who's actually doing that. So I don't have any problem with it either. I did have some problems with some of the things that she said earlier in the week, but I don't have a problem whatsoever. She wants to go off on her own to express her disappointment. I have no issue with that. Who am I to say how you're supposed to act after you've just been eliminated from a tournament when you've worked your ass off your entire life to get to that tournament? I'm not going to do that. So I'm with you.
And she's not in front of the crowd. She took it away from the crowd.
Exactly.
So she did it by herself, and y'all still got something to say.
Yeah,
they wrong for that.
Yeah, there should be no debate about that whatsoever. That's people trying to fill time, Tim. That's what it is. I've got 24 hours to fill. Let me do this as a news story. You guys keep up the great work. Looking forward to talking to you again. Tell your son I said hello. One of my favorite guys, without question. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk soon, okay? Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, you catch me on the Crossover King Instagram and Crossover Podcast. Appreciate it.
That's right. Crossover Podcast and Hardaway Sr. on Twitter as well. That's Tim Hardaway Sr. joining us here on X's and Bros. Trent, we have time for the Soaring Eagle Casino Daily Wager.
We sure do. We got 30 seconds here. I'm going to take LeBron James over 35 points, rebounds, assists, all added up together.
That is Trent needling me.
I had to. And it's not like our teams play tonight either, so I had to look for something, and I found that. They're playing Cleveland. The Cavs are 4-point favorites. I don't want to touch that line, but I'll touch LeBron James to get over 35 and a half points, rebounds.
All right. Appreciate it, and appreciate you, and appreciate Tim Hardaway Sr. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. We're back with you tomorrow at 6 o'clock here on the Michigan Sports Network.
At Soaring Eagle, make it a hot Valentine's night. 5-time Grammy nominee El DeBarge and Keith Washington put love in the air. Tickets as low as $50 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office or etix.com. This Valentine's night, make it hot. El DeBarge and Keith Washington at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Farrah's Coffee has been family-owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Farrah's Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your